Hello, I'm Tammy Boyd. I've been a work comp industry veteran for over 10 years. I've been involved in a lot of industry charitable events and sit on the advisory board for Work Comp Central. Today, with me, I am proud to introduce Brad Hurtig. He's an injured worker. He's got such an amazing story. I met him about 18 months ago in Ohio at an event. He was a keynote speaker, and listening to his story, I was riveted, and I believe that once you hear more from him and his story and how he shared it, that you'll see that Brad's an inspiration too. So Brad, what does it mean to be recognized by the workers' compensation industry for being an injured worker of the year?
Well, it means a lot, Tammy. I mean, for this award, obviously the Comp Laude is industry-wide. It's recognized nationally. And to have that kind of honor in being recognized nationally is just means a lot. And to be recognized among peers like this, and for me, it's an encouragement because it feels like I've been seen. Right? I feel like I've been seen and recognized, and it inspires me to press on even more and to advocate even more and to continue to press forward and make a positive difference.
Just to share a little bit of your story, for what I remember from your presentation is that you were injured really young. You were still in high school. You're a double amputee, and that you went on, months after your accident, you went on to play football and was on a winning all-state football team. And then you were challenged by your coach, and your coach told you, you're going to have to drink from your own bottle. You're going to have to find your own way. And you took it as a challenge, and you weren't discouraged, and you pressed on. And it really was a trajectory that really changed your life. And you have such a positive, wonderful attitude, and that's what really drew me to you. So how did keeping a positive attitude and working towards your recovery, how did that happen? I'm sure you had a lot of barriers. You're probably discouraged at some point. So help us understand more about your journey.
Yeah, well, journey is a good word. I never ever imagined something like this happening to me, right? And no one ever does. And I would say I grew up with a pretty good family, positive family. And I think my parents have had a really good influence on me. And I think a lot of it was dealing with a positive mindset. So, when the accident happened, I didn't allow myself to think about the what ifs and all these scenarios of what could have happened if I had done something different that night the accident happened. When the accident happened, I really tried to focus on, this is what I have to move forward with, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move forward. I can't go back in time, and I can't change this. And so, especially, the first 3 months, I didn't allow myself to really think about the accident at all and exactly how it happened. I really tried to stay focused on what I had. This is what I'm going to work with. And there was times that, I had people interviewing me that I had to process it and work through those things. And that was all good. But generally speaking, it was the mindset of, this is what I have. I'm going to move forward. It's going to become a new normal. And so that was key. I think that was crucial for me to really stay focused on the positive, on the good, and having that positive mindset. I really was vigilant and focused on not allowing these negative thoughts creep into my mind. And that was I think huge for me.
Yeah. So can you share what some of your inspirations are?
Yeah. Well, certainly I kind of reference my family. They are inspirational to me. Both my parents are, but my dad works really hard, and just seeing his work ethic growing up was an inspiration for me. And just them being kind people and respectful in the community. And, there's just different people in my life, older men that I look up to, my pastor, that are inspirational. And even from a young age, I grew up with a really good set of friends from the elementary age. We're still good friends today. We hang out when we can. We've got families now, that type of thing. So it's sparse, but yeah. So even from that, having a good group of friends, guys that I can depend on and look to, and just having deeper conversations and meaningful conversations like that, that kind of support team around me And yeah, I looked up all the guys that I have. Those solid friends that I have are inspirational to me.
Okay, so this is a great segue to the next question. So what is the message for those going through an injury in workers' compensation with that process? Do you have a message for anybody that might be currently injured and having difficulty of accepting their new normal? And what kind of messages would you share with them?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would say be patient. Do what's asked of you, even if it feels like hard work. It's worth it. And if you are uncertain or if you have questions, by all means ask. You're dealing with people that work with this language day in and day out, and they don't intentionally speak over your head about something. It's just what they deal with every day. And so if you're confused, don't expect yourself to know all of this and have all the answers. You need to ask questions and get clarification. I found that it was very easy just to kind of be passive, like, well, we'll get it figured out. And it's like, no, we gotta ask. We don't know, because you get off the phone call, it's like, well, okay, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. So for sure, ask those questions and be curious. No one's going to make you feel ashamed for being ignorant, for not knowing, because you're not really expected to know. But yeah, I think the hard work is worth it, and put in the work and the effort. If they're being asked to do something, do your best to make that happen.
That's great. Yeah. So who helped you through the process the most? Who were your biggest inspiration that really helped motivate you, found your purpose?
I guess I shared a little bit about some of the people in my life. There's been people that I've met after the accident that, they would not be in my life hadn't the accident happened. So there's been a lot of good things that come out of something traumatic. Mm-hmm. And that's maybe even a message for those that are having to deal with an injury recovery, the process, that you will meet people that will probably be a part of your life from here going forward. And that's what I have found in my life. And I can't imagine living life without these people. So one of them, her name is Carol, and she had just had this really, difficult time with my accident. She was a stranger. She didn't know me. She overheard that this accident happened. She was in a convenience store. Some reason the phone call happened to this clerk at the time that she was actually checking out, and the clerk got all sad about this situation. And it was the person telling the clerk about my accident that this happened. Maybe there's a friend of mine or something. I'm not sure why the call happened, but she overheard this and was told my story at that time. And she just was like sick about it. And for months, she just couldn't stop thinking about me and praying for me and wondering how I was doing. She's not far from me. She's like 20 minutes from my home. And so she knew, she was thinking about her own son is what it was. And her son was the same age as me. And just thinking, what would I do if this happened to my son? And just having this deep empathy for me. And it was almost a year to the date of my accident that we actually met by chance at a graduation party. And she was so excited. And I was like, who are you? This is like the stranger coming up and giving me a big hug. I'm like, okay. But so Carol is a wonderful lady. She's been an inspiration as well. We've done some messages, some talks together in our community. And I have a lot of gratitude towards her and her faith, and she's just such an encouragement. Anytime I have a phone call conversation with her, catching up, we don't have those that often, maybe a couple times a year, but anytime you do, you just walk away, you feel like a better person, you feel encouraged, you feel inspired, and she's that kind of person. So for sure, Carol's one of those people that has inspired me to keep pressing on and making a difference.
That's wonderful. Okay, so this kind of segues right into, so from a claims perspective, and the BWC who was really supportive in the process of your injury. So what message would you have for those that are handling claims or anyone in the industry that you'd like to share? I know that they were instrumental of having a wonderful outcome for you, and really was very involved with your case along the way. That was a total inspiration for me as well. They did a fabulous job, that from what I heard from your mouth. So I know that this is true. So if you could share it from your perspective.
Yeah, so there was a whole team, as there typically is, especially with a traumatic cases mind, of people at the BWC that were working behind the scenes that I never even interfaced with, and there were a handful that I did interface with. I had a catastrophic nurse, I had a caseworker. A caseworker was phenomenal, Ruby. She was just really helpful at not making assumptions, but asking questions. I think that was really key. Because I think I assume it might be easy, especially with a traumatic cases mind, to assume things and not really want to get too deep into the details, because it's messy, right? It's not fun and pleasant. And yet for her to have the courage to lean in and ask these deeper, meaningful questions and kind of wrestle with this with me. And that was really helpful. She didn't shy away. She had a good balance of being like strong and forthright, but also being caring and empathetic. But yeah, she was willing to ask these questions, and she listened, right? She didn't just assume things, but she'd ask and then say, okay, yeah, we can make that happen, or how can we help you in this area? And yeah, so the BWC came in and they made adjustments to my home. They put changed doorknobs to door handles, made some adjustments to my vehicle. I think they outsourced that, but had that process done of putting a knob on the steering wheel so I could grab a hold of that and turn quickly and easily. They helped me getting back to school, getting a laptop organized so I could get speech recognition software on my laptop, ordering a special mouse that I could use a mouse with. They got like touch lamps. So when I lived at home, the lamps oftentimes in the house had the lampshade, and the handle is up underneath the lamp, and you had to twist that. And with the prosthetics, I wasn't able to do that. So they put these little touch pads, connected the mouse or a lamp to the touchpad. I was able to touch that and turn a light on. So yeah, just a lot of things like that really made my environment adapted to me, and I was able to live a meaniful and I would say abundant life, right? And thrive in my own environment. And so that was huge for me. I don't know, I feel like we would be lost if we didn't have the BWC and helping me and my family through the whole process. So, yeah.
That's great. I know the BWC is a great organization, and I know that they were behind you 100% in the process and recovery and outcome. So kudos to them and I know it's not just you, but they do that for all their injured workers. So I also want to brag about you a little bit. For our viewers, is that Brad is also an inspirational, motivational speaker nationally. He's been recognized by ESPN, New York Times, and is also a TEDx speaker. He prior to the pandemic, he was traveling, but I know that I'm sure that you do a lot of virtual events now. So are there any last words that you want to share?
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, I enjoy being able to travel. Obviously, we're not doing that now, and I do the virtual thing. And I do some travel when the companies allow it, and that's always a great opportunity to do that. But yeah, so, going back a little bit with my own story, my coach challenged me after the accident to come back and play football. I was like, I'm not so sure about playing football again. I was a starter. I broke our school record for tackles in a single season as a middle linebacker. And I wanted to play, but I didn't think that was possible. He invited me. I came back out, rejoined the team. And the first day of practice, I was out there to watch the guys, and I was get thirsty. I would go up to the trainers. I'd ask them for a drink of water. They'd pick up a water bottle. I didn't have prosthetic hands at the time. My right arm ends about 4 inches below the elbow, and my left arm goes down to my wrist. So no hands. And I would depend and rely on the trainers to pick up a water bottle and squirt in my mouth. So they would do that all practice long. End of practice, water bottle sitting at my coach's feet. I see the water bottle. I'm thirsty. I say, hey, coach, can you pick up the water bottle and get me a drink? I'm thinking he's going to pick it up like the trainers have been doing all practice long. Instead, my coach looks at the water bottle, he looks at me, and then he thinks for a moment. And he says something that would ultimately change my life. He said, "If you are thirsty enough, you will find a way." I'm thinking, what are you talking about, coach? Like, I'm thirsty, you have hands, I don't. Pick up the water bottle, jerk. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. I didn't obviously have the courage to say that out loud to him, but he stunned me with that. You know, I just wasn't expecting that response, but it kind of triggered me. Then I realized and stepped back a little bit, but I'm like, oh, I get what you're doing here. I gotcha. So I get down on my knees, I pick up the water bottle, I pull the cap with my arms and get a drink, and I toss it back down to his feet with a big grin on my face, like, yeah. But that was a really big turning point for me, because I recognized that if I can do this one thing, there are other things I can do in my life that I wasn't really even trying to do. I was just simply depending on other people, when I could really try harder on my own. And so from there, it was a paradigm shift. I now use that phrase of find a way, as my coach told me. And so I would encourage others as they're battling with different difficulties. We all have setbacks and challenges in life. Find a way. You know, stay.
You also have a book?
What's that?
You also have a book?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. Well, actually, I didn't have this here for this interview, but I have it sitting next to me. It's called Find a Way, How a Water... Let me get that held up better for you. It's called Find a Way, How a Water Bottle Took Me from Amputee to All-State. And yeah, it has a lot of great principles in it, obviously illustrating my story and just talking about how we deal with adversity and move forward with a positive mindset, adapting and persevering.
Okay. And if somebody wants to reach out to you for a speaking opportunity or something like that, how would they find you?
Great. So I would encourage them, certainly from a safety standpoint, I would say bradhurtigsafety.com. So it's just my name and safety, bradhurtigsafety.com. And if it's something other related, like schools or something like that, just bradhurtig.com.
Okay.
Yeah, those are two good sites to find me and find more about me.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and you're my favorite. So, yeah, you've been so inspirational. You have a great story, and I wish you nothing but the best. So,
Thank you, Tammy. Really appreciate that. Good seeing you.